Namaskar everyone and welcome to our 30th day of Ramayanam Satsanga. Lakshmeenatha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyutapadambuja Yugma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadgurur Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. So with prayers at the lotus feet of Prabhu Sri Ramachandra and the Acharyas, let us take our topic for today. So in yesterday's satsang, we saw how Sita was kidnapped and abducted by Ravana, and Jatayu gave a very good fight, but Jatayu was old and he fell to the ground and he couldn't stop Ravana. So next, what happens is, as Ravana and Sita are going ahead, this Ravana is very worried because that area is not his control. So he's quite worried and he's tense about reaching Lanka fast. And at one point of time, when he has turned away to the other side, what Sita does is that she picks up her upper garment, she wraps up the ornaments that she was wearing, many of them, she wraps those ornaments in that cloth, and she sees at one point, she sees there are some Vanaras sitting on top of a hill. There are 5 Vanaras there. She looks at them and she throws that bundle of ornaments down to them. Her intention is that if Rama comes that side, then they should be able to guide, saying that your wife has been taken away by Ravana in the chariot. So with that intention, she throws it down and Ravana takes her further to Lanka. Now, on the other hand, if we look at what happened on this side, Lakshmana had gone into the forest. He and Rama meet at one point, and Rama is really very worried now. He says, "Why did you come, Lakshmana? That was Maricha, as you estimated. That was Maricha. I'm sure there's some evil plan that these Rakshasas have. Why did you leave Sita and come?" So then Lakshmana narrates everything about how he refused to go, but how Sita spoke very insultingly to him and threatened to give up her life, and he was forced to come. So then Rama says, "Okay, but you should have pretended as if you went away, but you should have just stayed there." And anyway, now there's nothing more that they can do. So they both start rushing back. And when they reach to the ashram, they find there's no Sita there. They see that there are signs of a struggle that has taken place. And then they conclude that somebody has taken Sita away. They rush here and there and they search about everywhere for her around the ashram, then further away. And Rama is totally upset and distraught. He starts talking to the birds, the trees, the Godavari river, and then first he's calling out to them in sorrow, and then as he finds that no reply is coming, everything is silent, nobody is giving him any answer, then he starts getting angry and he says, "I will destroy this very world if I am not able to find my Sita," and so on. At that point of time, it is Lakshmana who advises him about how getting angry is not the solution, how it is important to keep his emotion in check, how it is important to think with a calm mind, and how they should compose themselves and go further and take proper action. If at all somebody has done bad, it is that person who should be punished. There is no point in saying the entire world I will burn and so on. So in many ways, this advice which Lakshmana is giving to Rama at that point of time, it is very similar to what Lord Krishna has explained in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, there are some sampradayas where they teach about these things which Lakshmana spoke, and they call it as the Lakshmana Gita. Okay? Then, as Rama and Lakshmana go further, at one point of time, they see Jatayu and they are shocked to see him. Blood is spurting out of his body and it has collected in a pool. He is almost on the verge of death. And the minute Jatayu sees them, he wants to tell the news immediately because he knows his prana is going. So at that moment, Jatayu, with mustering up all his strength, he tells, "Yam ओषधिम इव आयुष्मन् अन्वेषसि महावने सा देवी मम च प्राण रावणेन ubhayam hritam." So he says, "Oh Rama, You be blessed. Ayushman Bhava, he says to him, you be blessed. And that person for whom you are searching, that Sita and my prana, both have been taken away by Ravana. So he indicates that Ravana is the one who has abducted Sita and he is about to give up his life. And he tells Rama, go in the southern direction. And then his prana is going, but Jatayu is having such fatherly love and affection that he tells Rama, he knows now Rama is totally devastated. He reassures Rama, don't worry, Rama, that muhurta, that time at which Ravana abducted Sita and went away from here was the Vinda Muhurta. Now, this Vinda Muhurta is said to be such a Muhurta that if we lose something at that time, then that object will be returned back to us. We will recover it in exactly the same condition as it had been lost from us. So that is the importance of this Vinda Muhurta. So Jatayu reassures Rama, saying that don't worry, although Ravana kidnapped and took away Sita, that Muhurta when he did it was Vinda Muhurta. So definitely you will get her back. You go in the southern direction and you find Sita and get her back. And saying all this, Jatayu gives up his life. He has fought so bravely despite his inability. He has done the best that he can for Rama's sake. And Rama feels very sad at this death of Jatayu. Rama says, Sita haranajam dukkham name saumya tathagatam yatha vinasho gridhrasya mat kritecha parantapa. Oh, Lakshmana, I am not so much feeling bad about Sita's abduction compared to how much I am feeling bad because this Jatayu has been killed because of me. For my sake, he came to protect my wife, and that is why he had to get killed. And I'm feeling very sad by the death of this Jatayu. He starts lamenting and he says, I don't know what kind of destiny is mine, that so much bad luck I am having. First, I lost the kingdom. I was supposed to be made the king. I lost that kingdom. Then I came into the forest and at least I thought, okay, here I will be happy with my wife. Now I have lost my wife. And this Jatayu, who was like our father, we had lost our father, Dasharatha. I thought at least Jatayu is there like a father figure. Now we have lost him also. And in that sadness, Rama does the final rites for Jatayu. He performs the crematory rites for Jatayu. And at that point of time, Rama says, Maya tvam samanugnato gachalokan anuttaman gridraraja mahasatva samskritah cha maya vraja. By my consent, by my permission, O Jatayu, you go to that most superior Vaikuntha Loka from where nobody ever comes back. This is Rama for the first time and the only time in the Ramayana revealing his divine nature. He shows Jatayu the marga to go to Vaikuntha. Then, after completing these crematory rites, Rama and Lakshmana proceed further, and as they are walking through the forest and going in the southern direction, there is one Rakshasi called Ayomukhi, and she also comes like Shurpanaka and clings to Lakshmana, but Lakshmana cuts off her nose and ears also and sends her away. Next, as they go further, suddenly they are grabbed by the hands of one weird kind of demon called Kabandha. Now, this Kabandha is so funny. His abnormal structure he has. He has no head. He has no neck. And in the middle of his chest and stomach only, one eye is there, one mouth is there. And he grabs them with his long arms and he says, I'm going to eat you both. I'm going to devour you off. And at that moment, Rama and Lakshmana, they cut off his arms and then they burn his body. From that burning body of Kabandha, one Gandharva emerges out and he tells that, thank you very much for delivering me from that curse. You must be Rama and Lakshmana. I had got a curse from a rishi and now, thanks to you, I have been delivered from that curse. And I will be now going back to my Gandharvaloka. But before that, he tells them that if you want to find Sita, you have to take help from the Vanara person called Sugriva. Now that Sugriva is on Rishyamukha mountain, and you go to that Rishyamukha mountain and you will find Sugriva. This Sugriva has also lost his kingdom and his wife to his brother Vali, so he will be the right person to help you. So giving that instruction to Rama and Lakshmana, Kabandha goes back to his Svargaloka. And incidentally, he also mentions to Rama that there is an elderly sannyasi lady called Shabari. She is waiting in the ashrama of Matanga Muni in near the Pampasarovara. You meet her first and then you go and meet Sugriva, who is on the Rishamukha mountain. So saying this, Kabandha departs from there. And Rama and Lakshmana go further. So now we will pause our story part of the Ramayana for here, but let us try to understand some of the deeper concepts in whatever happened in today's discussion. So we saw how Godavari river did not contribute in any way to either Sita when she was calling out or to Rama. So here the Acharyas actually compare the behavior of this Godavari river with that of Yamuna Nadi. We know about Yamuna Nadi. And the Acharyas say that Yamuna is pure and always they praise Yamuna Nadi. But there is no such description which is ever given for Godavari river. Why is that? Because Acharyas say that at the time when Krishna Avatara took place and Krishna was born and Vasudeva had to carry that baby Krishna across, from Mathura to Gokula, at that point, this Yamuna Nadi had to be crossed and she parted ways for Vasudeva to walk across. Now, this Yamuna Nadi was right in the backyard of Kamsa. She was right next to Kamsa. And yes, she was not scared of what Kamsa would do to her. She was unafraid of being punished by Kamsa. And therefore, she did her part of Seva for enabling the Krishna Avatara. Now, that is why she is praised by the Acharyas and they call her pure because she performed Krishna Kainkarya. Now, this Godavari, she was so far away from Ravana. Ravana had just passed by her and gone away. There's no chance of Ravana ever coming back to that place for any reason. And she was so far from Ravana. Yet, she was so scared of Ravana that she didn't help Rama at all in his search for Sita. So, this Godavari did not participate in Rama Kainkarya, whereas Yamuna participated in Krishna Kainkarya. And that is why all the Acharyas always praise Yamuna river and call her one of the true devotees of the Lord. Now, we saw when Jatayu was giving the news of Sita's kidnapping to Rama, while telling that Ravana took away Sita, Jatayu blesses Rama. He says, "May you live long." Why is this Jatayu saying this? He is having that fatherly affection for Rama. And because of that fatherly affection, he knows that Rama is going to really be very upset. He can see that he is upset. He knows that he is completely going to be, miserable hearing that Sita has been kidnapped. So that is why he wants that nothing should happen to Rama. And that is why he is blessing Rama, saying, "May you live long." And just as Jatayu had fatherly affection for Rama, Rama also had that kind of the affection which a son would have to his father. And that is why Rama performed the final rites for him. Now, Rama says, when he sees that Jatayu has died, Rama says that he is more upset about Jatayu dying rather than about Sita being lost. Now, this sounds very odd to us, isn't it? Because we saw how Rama is so upset, he's so miserable because Sita has been kidnapped. Now, how is it that he's saying he's more upset because Jatayu has to lose his life? Here, the Acharyas explain that for the Lord, seeing his devotees suffer causes him extreme pain. Whatever happens to Sita, whatever happens to himself, it is all the Leela of the Lord, isn't it? But when a devotee suffers, now if Jatayu had to lose his life, it was real suffering for the devotee. So here, the Lord always gets very agitated, he is very upset and pained when his devotee gets suffering. Now, Acharyas explain that indeed the Lord, we can say, he has more love for devotees than for the Devi. Now, here sometimes they give an example. Suppose there is a person who buys a very expensive sari for his wife, and then that person buys the same value sari for the servant maid in their house. What do you say then? Do you say that the man has equal affection for the wife and the servant maid? Or do we say that the man values that servant maid very much, even more than the wife? Because if he is giving his wife an expensive sari, that is perfectly fine. But if he gives the servant maid such a costly sari, that means he really has a lot of value for her. So similarly, here when the Lord is saying that he is more upset at Jatayu's passing away, in other words, Lord is telling us that he has more love for the bhakta than even for Devi herself. And if we remember that statement which Rama had made in the Dandakaranya forest while telling Sita and making the pratignya, he had said that I may even give you up, O Sita, but I will not give up the word which I have given to these rishis of Dandakaranya. So, in other words, the Lord always is having some favoritism, some definite partiality that he shows for his devotees. And anything happening to the devotees to hurt them upsets him totally. Next, I said that this Jatayu Moksha is the only moment when Rama allows that mask of a human being to slip, and he shows that he is actually the Lord himself. Is it possible for an ordinary person to tell somebody that you go to Vaikuntha? Not at all. But Rama has sent Jatayu to Vaikuntha. And that at that moment, he is so moved by the sacrifice of Jatayu that he forgets he is a human being, and standing in that role as Lord Sriman Narayana, he tells Jatayu, you go to Vaikuntha. Now, here some acharyas also give another interpretation that they say for sending Jatayu to Vaikuntha, for doing that, Rama does not actually need to show his divine nature. What he's doing is, as a human being only, he can still achieve that. How is that possible? This Rama has been Satyavakya. He has always been only speaking the truth. So, somebody who is always truthful throughout their life, whatever they say, that itself becomes the truth. Because there is so much Chaitanya in their Vani, there is so much conviction in their talk, because they have never spoken lies with their tongue. So somebody who's truthful throughout their life, whatever they say, that itself becomes the truth. Now Rama had this quality, and therefore, if he says, "Oh Jatayu, you go to Vaikuntha," then definitely Jatayu will go to Vaikuntha. Then some places they ask, the acharyas question that how is it that a bird can get mukti? Because normally we say that when people do some papas and something, then they get a life like a bird, some animal and all that. Then they have to come back to human life, and after doing sadhana in the human life, then only they can get mukti. What jnana yoga, karma yoga or bhakti yoga did this Jatayu do? How did Rama send him to Vaikuntha? How did he give him mukti? Here the acharyas explain that if the Lord is happy with the service of somebody, he will bypass his own rules. He is after all Swatantra. He is the one who is the maker of the rules. There is nobody to question him if he bypasses his own rules. This Jatayu sacrificed his life in seva for the Lord. And that is why the Lord gave him mukti without seeing whether he is a bird, he is an animal, or what he is. Similarly, we have seen in cases of Gajendra, the crocodile who caught his leg, they all got mukti because the Lord is pleased by the seva of his devotees and grants them whatever he desires. Now, these rites that Jatayu Rama performed, they were what the Vedas prescribed for human beings. How could Rama do those rites for a bird? But here the acharyas explain that when it comes to the bhaktas, there is never any discrimination based on the birth, based on the form that they have taken, based on the kind of life that they have, based on the jati to which they belong. When it comes to devotees, all of them belong to the same jati. What is that jati? What is that caste? What is that category to which all the devotees belong? They are all bhaktas of the Lord. So there the Lord does not discriminate, and therefore Jatayu got mukti without anybody bothering about whether he was a bird or he was a human being or what he was. Then we see how when Rama comes to Kabandha, he is asking, and after that Kabandha turns into the Gandharva, then Rama is questioning that Kabandha that how do we find Sita? How can we locate her? Where has she gone? How will we be able to reach her? He's asking. So here the acharyas are wondering and they are marveling. They are saying, "Oh Rama, how is it possible that you don't know where Sita has gone? A few minutes ago, you knew the path to tell Jatayu how to go to Vaikuntha. Is it possible that now you cannot find out where Sita is? You don't know the way to Lanka? You don't know where Sita has gone? How is it possible like this? What kind of a drama is this? What kind of, Leela is this of you, O Lord? They ask. And then they explain that when it comes to his bhakta, the Lord is ready to do anything and everything. So for Jatayu, the Lord was ready to send him to moksha. The Lord showed that he knew the path to Vaikuntha. But for Sita, it is his avatara as a human being as Rama. And therefore, he takes help from Kabandha. Again, he has slipped back into his role of being a human being. And that is why he is asking Kabandha, how will I find Sita? Where should I go? And such things. Then we saw that after the death of Jatayu, Rama was crying and lamenting about his bad luck. Now we should think, Rama, who was Lord himself, when he took human avatara, he had to undergo all this suffering. So any human being, whatever is part of their prarabdha, they have to definitely undergo. If Rama lamented like this, then what he did next after lamenting, he did not sit quietly lamenting just like that. He got up and he took action which was required to find Sita again, right? Similarly, whenever we have difficult situations in our life, there are many times when we feel we are very unlucky, or we feel that all bad things are happening to us, or everything seems to be going wrong for us. Then, taking motivation from the behavior of Lord Rama, we must also stand up again. We must try to see the best that we can do in that situation. No matter how difficult our situation, we should stick to the path of dharma. And definitely, we will find people who will guide us and show us what can help to solve our problem. That is the lesson that we should take from Rama. Now, Kabanda told Rama to seek out Sugriva. Why didn't he tell Rama to find Vali? Because as we know, Sugriva had been thrown out of the kingdom by Vali, and Vali was the king in Kishkinda. Why did Kabanda not tell Rama to go to Vali? Definitely, Vali was more powerful. Definitely, Vali had more resources. And in fact, Vali was more powerful than Ravana. And he knew Ravana very well. He would have, threatened Ravana, and Ravana would have given Sita back. And yet, why was Rama directed to Sugriva and not Vali? Because Sugriva was a Dharmanishta and Vali was on the path of Adharma. So, if Rama's mission is to establish Dharma, then he is definitely not going to go and take help. He is not going to approach somebody who is on the path of Adharma. We will see all those things, the defects of Vali, when we come to that point in the Ramayana. But for now, let us understand that Rama's intention now, although superficially it appears like he is only going to search for Sita, but what is the actual motive there? Sita had to be kidnapped, and Rama had to go there to destroy Ravana. So, destroying Ravana, putting an end to Adharma, is the motive. In that case, finding Sita is not his only purpose, isn't it? So, if that is the case, is it possible that he will go to Vali? Because Vali is also on the path of Adharma. So, although getting Sita may be easier by approaching Vali, but that is not Rama's intention. He has to put an end to Adharma. So, whether that Adharma is in the form of Ravana or that Adharma is in the form of Vali, Rama will only follow the path of Dharma and put an end to all those Adharmi characters. So, these are some of the things that we have been able to understand because of the grace of the Acharyas. Let us offer Kritagnyata to the Acharyas. Let us offer Kritagnyata to the lotus feet of Sri Rama. And let us pray that their grace and blessings are always on us. Mangalam Kosalendraya, Mahaniya Gunabdaye, Chakravarti Tanujaya, Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam, Veda Vedanta Vedyaya, Megha Shyamalamurtaye, Pumsam Mohana Rupaya, Punya Shlokaya Mangalam, Pitrabhaktaya Satatam, Bhratrabhihi Sahasitaya, Nanditakhila Lokaya, Ramabhadraya Mangalam, श्रीमते रघुवीराय सेतूलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you everybody, and we will meet again tomorrow. Namaskar.